everybody, my name is Emma and I'm an illustrator that has just started taking streaming seriously over on Twitch. The kind of stream that I do, I focus on traditional illustration, which means I've got to have a camera set up to actually film my work. Now, I don't have loads of fancy equipment that you see these streamers usually have. You know, most of the other streamers are gaming and such, so they've got really powerful PC rigs that can handle the gameplay that they're doing as well as streaming it. I used to stream in the past, but I never took it very seriously, but now I'm starting to develop myself as an artist and as a business, and so I thought streaming would be a really cool way to do things. With that being said, I'm trying at most to not buy any new equipment, and if you're in the same position as me, you might not have all the spare cash to start upgrading all your gear. So I'm going to run through today what I'm using and how I'm getting on with it, and to show you that you don't need to buy really fancy things to stream in the first place. To begin with, I've got a separate art room in my house, which I'm really fortunate to have. In here, this is where all my supplies are, this is where I stream from, this is my studio. My desk and my shelf above are made from a single piece of MDF wood that I cut down and I painted primer. The positive of having a desk that you've completely made yourself, especially if you're an artist, if you damage it or get it really dirty, it's really easy to clean, and I'm not going to cry if I've wrecked it completely. Obviously I cover this in watercolour paint all the time, but a little bit of a bleach solution and it's all brand new. If it's really bad, I'll just paint over it again. With the shelf above my desk, it runs the entire length of my table, and fixed to the underneath is a light I bought from Ikea, which is a big LED panel which I made the shelf to size so it would fit right underneath my shelf, so it would project a lot of light over my desk. So with that, I don't have to buy any special ring lights to light up my face. All the light produced is just from a single big LED panel. I've even got a remote with it, which I can dim the lights or change the colour tone. I wouldn't suggest it for streaming just because you'll see a slight flicker. So I usually have it on full brightness and have it on the white colour. That way my work is as colour accurate as possible. For my camera, there's two different ones that I use. For my streams, I just use my inbuilt webcam. I don't need anything fancy at the moment. If I start making more money from this, then I'll definitely invest in a separate camera, but for now, as long as you change the settings on the camera in OBS or whatever other streaming software you're using, you can make whatever camera that you have look a million times better. Usually it's just the case of as long as you're well lit, your camera will function better. The camera I use to film me actually drawing from above is the C920. It's the absolute standard webcam that everybody uses. It streams in 1080p, and again, as long as you've lit up the area well enough, it'll pick everything up. The only downside is I wish I could actually have it zoom in a bit more. The webcam is the only thing I bought to stream. Everything else I already had lying around the house, and this was the only dedicated purchase for the stream that I needed. For the mic that I'm using and headset, nothing special at all. So I actually nicked this from my partner. I think it's his work headset. It does the job. My voice is relatively clear with it. The downside is I've noticed it does slip off my ears. Moving on to computers, the streaming software that I use was originally just OBS. So I have an iMac from 2009, I think it is. So really old, but I used to stream from that. The downside is it couldn't really cope with much, so I really had to lower the resolution of my stream, and the frames per second was truly awful. I think I was averaging about 15 frames per second. I've now moved over to using my MacBook Pro. It's a 2013 model, so it's really old still. But thankfully it's got 16 gig of RAM, it's got a really good processor, a decent graphics card in. I can run my stream at about 720p and I think I'm averaging about 25 to 30 frames per second. Thankfully I've had no complaints yet, so for now I'll keep doing that. The downside that I've noticed with using my MacBook Pro, because it is a laptop and it's a lot older and it's doing a lot of heavy duty things, the fan is going like crazy. But just as a note to anybody who's got an older computer or laptop, or in my case, you've only got Apple, you can still stream, you can still do things. There are just workarounds for everything. One of the low budget things I've done, I don't have a dedicated tripod to put my camera on. I also need to have my laptop out of the way when I'm streaming, just because my desk is relatively narrow. I've made a couple of my own solutions. Instead of going on Amazon and buying whatever camera mounts I can get my hands on, I've just made it myself. So I had loads of scrap wood in the garage. Let me show you what I've done for my laptop. So essentially what I've done, I've made a riser for it. So the screen is actually vertical and it's far enough out of the way, and it's actually got gaps underneath it to allow airflow. And then moving on to my camera mount, which I know it's gonna anger people seeing this. So I've just made it with some scrap wood, and the general premise of it is I've drilled holes into a piece of wood in which I can put a screw through it, which fixes onto my webcam. So yeah, I can move this one piece of wood up and down that has the holes in, and essentially all I do is just I put an Allen key right through it and it just holds it in place. And that's my really low budget tech solution. Nobody on cam ever sees this. The webcam's really light, so I don't have to worry about it falling or anything. And at this moment in time, it works for me. One of the things I would recommend though, if you're filming traditional arts, you don't want that camera to keep shaking, hence why I've put it on the shelf above. And the same with your desk as well. If you've got a desk that wobbles a little bit and you don't want that camera shake, try and bolt your desk to the wall. It just gives it a lot more rigidity, and if you knock your desk at all, you won't have that camera shake. It's really handy. So with my top mounted camera, it's attached to the shelf, and that is never going to be knocked. It's never going to get in the way, it's never going to have vibrations going through it that will be picked up on camera. Try and make sure that you can't knock whatever camera you're using. So at the moment I'm using my laptop for streaming. I'm using Streamlabs OBS, or Slobs for short, and I'm loving it. Really easy to get used to, and I'll just quickly take you through what my stream looks like. So looking at the screen at the moment, I can show you through like starting soon screen, my normal main cam, a zoom, be right back, and an ending title. I started taking the streaming seriously for about mid-January 2021, and within 2 weeks I was already made affiliate and I was starting to see bits of work come through, which was really cool. This is just like a general thing to say that you don't need to go out and buy loads of fancy streaming equipment. You don't need to buy all the cool makes and the cool brands that you see everybody else using. That stuff will come later down the line. What I'm trying to show you is something at a really basic level. As you can see, I've made some of my own stuff to begin streaming, and it is working. So don't be put off by the cost of all of this. You can make what you've got work. So if this video was helpful to any of you at all, please give a like, give a thumbs up for this. I'm just trying to encourage anybody who feels that they haven't got all the equipment to just have a go. There are ways around everything, and you've just got to give it a try. I've really been loving streaming so far, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's supporting me at the moment. If you do want to check out my Twitch, it is twitch.tv/Gingybeer. I stream regularly every single week. My main focus is traditional art, so I'm focusing on watercolour painting. I do a variety at the moment, so I'm working on my own personal illustration. I also do pet portraits, and I do landscape paintings as well. So if that's your kind of thing, go have a look-see, and I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching. Bye.